Good, man. Love it.
Nice. Love it.
Bro.
Oh, man, it's so good to be back. Hey, if it is your first time joining in with a live Pack 5 moment, then we want to say welcome. It is so good to have you with us. We love having new kind of followers and new people watching, new people jumping in. So like and subscribe and share our videos and comment and let us know that you're here because we are stoked that you're here. If you haven't already kind of commented, we love kind of seeing the community get together, seeing all the comments kind of come through. So definitely be doing that.
Definitely do that, but Jimmy, gotta say something. There is some tension in the Pack 5.
There is some tension in the Pack 5. There's tension in the house because it's just a few weeks away now. The Mr. Muscle Man Challenge, Jimmy J v Lukey J, head to head for the last time this term. And as we all know, the score is 4-0 to me. 4-0 to me. Absolutely putting the beat down every time we do a new challenge. Boom, I'll win. And so there's a little bit of a tension around that because, you know, the fifth challenge is coming and everyone is, you know, getting ready for 5-0. Weigh-in going to be happening. The press conference is going to be happening as well on the 19th. So it's exciting.
It is
but there's tension.
Yeah, awesome. Love that you got the plug in there, but that's definitely not what I'm talking about. That's not the tension I'm talking about. This is a different tension. This is a tension. I'm going to give you guys an insight into the kind of Pack 5 house.
Don't know where this is going.
Dynamic that we've got here is there's a few debates that happen in the Pack 5 house.
Yes.
A few debates which go on. Yeah.
There's plenty of debates. Constant
love a good debate. Yeah.
Yes.
And well, this one's kind of got on my nerves a little bit, so I decided to bring it to our viewers, to you guys, and bring it. And it's to do with Milo and the way we make a Milo.
I feel like we've already settled this debate on multiple occasions at home in our house.
Look, no, so that's the thing, is that you settle the debate because you get the Jensen clan behind you, and then they all go, yeah, Dad's right, or Jimmy's right, and then it's just me by myself.
Have you ever kind of considered the fact that you actually are just wrong? That's not about my clan being behind me, but you're actually wrong?
Well, see, that's why I'm doing this, to find out, because that's why I've got the bigger crowd.
I'm on board this, actually.
Yeah, 100%. So I'm going to lay my pitch out to them. You can just stay there. I'm going to lay my pitch out. So the way I make my Milo is I get a cup, right, as you do, get some milk, and you put the milk into the cup, and you get the Milo, you put it on top, and you've made it. That's it. And that's how it looks on the tin. That's how I've been doing it since I was a kid. That's how you probably did it when you were a kid. Jimmy, what about you? Come on, tell them.
No, that is not how you make Milo. You put the Milo in first because nobody wants dry Milo stuck to the top of their mouth. So you put the Milo in first just to make sure that the whole lot of it gets covered in milk. And in fact, if you put the Milo in first, you can even add just a little bit of hot water and kind of dissolve it even better, get even smoother Milo. But either way, you definitely put the Milo in before the milk.
Look, I strongly disagree with you, but so we got these guys here. So you guys comment down below, let us know which side you choose, and kind of by the end of the live stream, the live Q&A, we'll tally up those ones and we'll tell you who's right, which is me, by the way.
It's not going to be.
Well, it is going to be me.
It's not.
Yeah, well, yeah, we'll see. We'll find out. But moving on.
Yes.
We have a guest coming in.
We do. How exciting.
We have a guest. Super stoked. Love having guests in. Love kind of expanding the Pac-5 kind of viewership who comes into the thing. It's awesome. Love expanding it.
Yes.
Yeah.
It's good. But before we do that, I like the fact that you're talking about expanding the audience. Love that. Yeah. Love the expansion. Because it's interesting you bring that up because actually I've got something that I want to kind of bring up kind of with you because you know how a couple of weeks ago we were just kind of having a chat and I was just kind of saying which is your least favorite NRL team and you were saying you don't like the Roosters, like you hate the Roosters. And so I was like, oh yeah, that's right. Well, I discovered that you can actually pay to get a cardboard cutout of yourself put at the home team of every Roosters or any NRL team game. So this week, you remember we did like celebration photos for Pac-5? Well, I took that celebration photo and I sent it in to the NRL so that you now are going to have a cardboard cutout of yourself supporting the Roosters at every single game for the rest of the year. There is going to be the photo of you, come on Roosters, just literally in the stands.
But you know how much I don't like the Roosters. Like actually genuinely hate the Roosters. Like as a team.
Well, now you're going to be there every single week. And there's going to be a moment, I can feel it coming, where they're going to pan the camera across. Some Rooster's going to be scoring the winning try. And in the background is Luke in a Pac-5 t-shirt going, yeah, come on, Roosters.
What is this? So this is stitch up number 3? No, first stitch. No, I'm done. I'm out.
Hey, Lukey, come back. Come back. Hey, I was just joking. Luke. I did actually literally put you in the stands, but it's just a prank.
Hello. 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 Hey, Caitlin. Oh, hey, Charles. Where the boys at? I don't know. I was here for an interview and...
who needs the boys? We can do this. We got this covered. Caitlin.
Hi.
Welcome to the Pac-5 studio.
Thank you.
Thanks for coming.
Really fancy.
How you doing?
I'm good. How are you?
Yeah, pretty good. Pretty good. So Caitlin, obviously you're one of our Year 10 youth leaders, so shout out to the Year 10 girls.
Hi, Year 10 girls.
But that's not all you do. Tell us a bit about yourself. I know you, but others out there probably don't know you as well as I do. So tell us a bit about yourself. What do you like to do? What do you get up to?
Okay, so I'm in uni. I'm a second-year uni student studying accounting. I also like music and ballet. Did a lot of music and dance growing up. And yeah, I like hanging out with friends. I don't know. That's my life. Yeah.
Yeah, awesome. So good. So, the boys, you mentioned dancing. You like dancing. Yeah, well, the boys actually got up to something this week, and yeah, well, we're hoping you could give some insight into how you think they went. So, got a little video to show you.
We're talking this week about how you love to flex your ballet moves everywhere you go. You're in the park, you're doing rolls, you're doing flips, you're doing jumps in the park, at church, at home. Probably back at school you did it as well. It's crazy. All the time.
The thing is, we've decided that doing ballet moves, it actually isn't art flex. Right, so we've gone out and we've got a ballet lesson lined up so that we can prove to you that
Oh my gosh.
anyone can ballet.
What's up, youth squad? I'm here at the dance studio of Sarah from Ella Point Studio. And we are here to prove to Caitlin that doing ballet dancing is not that difficult. In fact, I've actually done a little bit of research and I've realized that the superpower to ballet does not lie in flexibility or strength or core strength or elegance or anything like that. It actually lies in hairspray. Because everyone uses hairspray. So Luke, I have been your saving grace, my friend.
Thank you.
You are now superpower.
That feels good.
Let's do ballet. Alright.
Are you ready to do some stretching, boys?
I was
So
bored already.
Bro, man.
Okay, we've got the hairspray, so we're going to be fine.
Yeah, I actually got some.
I feel like ballet now.
Okay.
Okay, let's have a stretch on the floor.
Okay.
Okay, let's hold on to those toes. We also call this the stinky toe stretch.
As in, like, get our heads near our toes.
Correct. So we're going to sit nice and straight.
Okay.
Nice and straight.
Yeah.
That's-
Is this
that's
straight?
Good stuff.
How's this?
That's
Yeah.
Lovely long spines.
Yeah.
Yep.
Try and push those knees down as well.
Oh.
Head to toes.
Yeah, got it.
Actually, to the
Can
top.
they smell? Can you smell them?
Yeah, well, mine are pretty strong, so I can.
I can definitely smell them from here.
Okay, you can sit up now.
Yeah, okay.
Okay, now long spines.
Long spines, yeah.
Down again.
Okay.
Smell some smell.
This one's
Go
it.
as far as you can. Press your knees. Press your knees.
Nah, dude, that's cheating. Your toes came out. Keep them in. Keep them
It
in.
might be cheating, but I'm
Yeah. Okay, relax.
Okay.
so relaxed. If I was any more relaxed, I'd be asleep.
Okay, let's stretch our legs out. Long spine.
Long spines.
Yep.
I'm feeling it.
Belly button to the spine.
Feeling
Yeah,
belly button to
lovely.
spine.
Core
It's somewhere
working.
close to the spine.
Okay.
Layers of fat are separating it and the spine, but yes.
We're going to do
somewhere
fifth position.
This actually hurts.
Ready? Down you go. Can you feel those muscles?
Definitely can feel them.
stretching? Okay, good. Back up you go.
There's some new ones there, I think.
Fifth. Shoulders down. Shoulders down.
Shoulders down.
Ready? Tummies. And go. Down you go. This is just a stretch, remember?
I feel like I should be close to
Yeah. You could probably
Bro,
grab
you at least like within
Usually
reaching.
it's nice to be able to put your nose on your knees too,
I've
but
got a ruler between mine.
let's stand up.
Okay.
That's enough. For another one, you could probably touch your toes.
I can't though.
Now touch your toes, or the floor.
Or your
There we
chin.
go. And roll. Okay,
so relaxed.
Yeah.
that's all right.
I'm feeling good.
Feeling lovely long
Yeah.
muscles.
Yeah.
Long spine.
Let's get our muscles.
This is
Do
one.
some plies.
Okay.
Plies.
Plies.
That's a word, is it?
That's what it means to bend.
It means something.
I can,
First position. This
I can
is
do this feet together.
I've got
feet
this, bro.
together,
Yeah,
so
look
you're
at that.
going to go into first position.
Okay, easy, done. Boom.
Boom.
For our players, we put one hand on the bar, though. That's beautiful. Here we go. Ready? And down.
Yeah.
Here. Not bad, guys. Not bad. Okay, and push. Heels in. Heels down, sorry. And squeeze.
That's incredible.
Good.
That hurt my shoulder blades.
Would you like to try a plie in second?
Of course.
So second position is here.
I already did 2 plies.
So you're going to do demi in second and squeeze. You can stay on the floor for this
I always forget the arm. I need the
don't
arm.
forget your arm. Ready?
Oh, look at you get off.
Let's try not to poke our tushies out.
Yeah.
You're in a toaster.
Oh,
A
okay.
piece of toast.
Yeah, that makes
You
more
don't want
sense,
to
yeah.
burn your bottom, yeah?
Yeah, understand.
Yeah,
Yeah.
right, okay.
Here we go. Ready? Think you're in a toaster.
Look,
Toast.
you already burnt your butt already. You're going to get started.
Ready? Go. Down you go.
Toaster.
Oh, mind your bottoms. Mind your bottoms.
Hey, what?
Oh, and
You got burned.
That was good.
Yeah, you
You know
got.
what? The idea is to think you've got a fishbowl. Your pelvic area is a fishbowl.
Okay.
And you don't want to tip it too far forward.
Oh,
Tip
okay.
it too far back.
See,
Otherwise
that's-
you're going to lose your fishy.
See, that's the visual I needed.
Like,
Keep
my
your
issue
fishbowl.
is the fishbowl is too high.
Yeah.
Well, you
I
just
feel
got to
like the
keep your
fishbowl
fishbowl
sits
straight.
out here, to be honest.
So there's my fishbowl.
Forward or
So there's my fishbowl.
forwards.
Yeah, right.
Got the fishbowl. Okay.
Okay, fishbowl.
I got this.
Come on, go. Down you go. Full plie in second. Here we
Fishbowl,
go.
here we go.
Down you go, fishbowl. Don't tip your fishy.
Oh,
Take your heels
my
off,
fish is
James.
definitely
Your
tipping.
fish is definitely tipping.
Mine's gone. I've lost my
Okay,
fish.
James, knees over toes.
Knees over toes.
They are genuinely trying to do that. Yes,
So let's put our bars away.
Okay.
Let's pop them away. 'Cause
I'm so set, bro. I'm doing well.
need to come into the centre now.
So you can do pirouettes on dehors and on de don. So that means
on my day on and my day off.
correct.
On day or on the don. So on day or
on day off.
on day or means
Oh, wax on, wax off.
correct.
Yes,
On day
there we
or
go.
means out.
Out.
The door.
Yep.
On the don means inwards.
In the door.
I'm going to learn fourth position as
Okay.
well. So we're going to go here. This is first position of the arms, right?
Yep.
With our dégagé to second, which we learned before. Then it's going to prepare behind. So that's going to go behind. Yeah.
Boom.
This is fourth
Oh.
position.
I feel like I'm like flexing.
Arms here. Arms here, actually.
I felt like that was like some sort of like.
You're posing, yeah. So that's just a slight shoulder.
Do our pirouette. So James, you're going to turn
That sound of
towards
crying
your
that you
back.
hear is Luke's body.
Yeah, it is. That is me.
Towards the back leg, up, and then there. So, yep, push. So you're gonna go
Ready?
back.
Ready?
So you're gonna go, yeah, that's it. There you go.
Oh, don't flex on me.
You have to spot as well though, so there's lots of other little things
have
to
to
think
spot?
about. Pretend.
You have to hold the weights.
Well, that's a different type
Yeah,
of
right.
spotting. Pretend you've got your most favourite chocolate or something in front of you. Your beautiful wife looking at you. Don't take your eyes off her. Keep your eyes, you've got to keep your eyes there. Up and there. So keep your head there, whip it around.
Ready?
Ready? And go. Okay, so next move I'm going to show you is then going to lead you into your beautiful dance to the part of dirt you're going to do at the end, which means you're going to do a little piece together.
Oh, like
With a little-
So
with a
I'm the
little-
partner
Yep.
and you're the dessert.
Yes. So you could even try. Okay, so we're going to do, this is called a ton leve. We're going to step this way, jump, like that. It's called a ton leve. So you're going to step, and that's it, and ton leve that way. Ton leve, yes. So we're going to step just straight into it this way, up, and then gallop, and then this side. Try and stretch your legs as well. It's all about the push. Push, keep backs up, and then gallop, and step there.
I feel that is exactly what I'm doing.
Yes,
You are.
it's definitely. Gallop, step there, then go back, gallop again. Oh, that was a little,
Quite nice.
it's a different type of movement, sorry.
You look like you're riding a horse break. Isn't that what you're supposed to do?
Now you're going to do a little partner exercise. So you're going to step this way, James. You're going to hold hands. Luke, that way. So you're going to hold hands and go like this situation. Yeah? Okay. Turn towards each other. So you're going to turn this way, Luke. James, turn. Just do a turn. Just spin on your own. Spin on your own. So all the way around. Yeah. Yeah. So you're going to grab him. Ready? Set. Go. Hold. I just scratched him. Okay, maybe not the fish dive. Yeah.
You're gonna rotate.
Now hold, press, now lift this. That's it. There you go. You're doing it. Bend it up. There you go. Beautiful. That's beautiful, James. Good, Luke. Well done, Luke. Okay. Is it kind of like lifting weights?
No.
Maybe you need some more. I definitely think you need some more.
Thank you. Thank you.
This is what's gonna
I feel it. It's coming back to me. All the ballet
you might not be able to breathe, but
Yeah, I can smell that.
you might not be able
That's where
to.
the
Yeah,
superpower comes from.
Smells like ballet.
it smells like ballet. Okay, you ready?
Yeah.
Ready? And ton leve, gallop. Ton leve, gallop. Ton leve, gallop. Ton leve, stop. And turn away from each other. Oh yeah, sorry. That's right. Good. I'm just trying to test you. Turn towards and in and fish dive. Ready? Muscles. And ta-da! Beautiful. And do some push-ups. That could be another exercise, a gym exercise. Fish dive, push-ups.
Amazing.
Ready out of 10.
Look, I think
Kaylin is proof that this is boom.
so easy.
So easy.
Definitely.
Didn't even make a sweat.
And do you know what, boys? That's probably about not even half of a ballet class. Not even half.
Bro, that's why we were so good at it.
Definitely.
Not left on dead.
Absolutely gone.
Would you like to do a bow?
Yes.
Okay, I curtsy. You boys can put your legs together now because you're just going to do a bow. Do a lovely bow, and ladies do a curtsy.
I have to smell my toes in this one?
No, you don't. You can just, that's just, oh my goodness. Thank goodness it's over. Bow. And ladies,
Thank you, ladies
curtsy.
and gentlemen.
Well done.
Thank you, Sarah.
Thank you.
Most welcome.
It's been incredible.
We take it back, Caitlin. This is way harder than we thought.
Oh my gosh.
Very good.
That was actually so funny.
Ah, yes, ballet. Way harder than it really looks, hey? Yeah, they're feeling a bit sore today after that one. I think they used a few muscles they didn't know they had.
To the world of ballet.
Yeah. So, hey, new job.
Yes.
How's that going?
It's been going really well. Bit busy, bit hectic, a lot of hours, but it's been really good. Yeah, just having a job.
It's good.
Yeah.
Handy to have money to do stuff, I guess. Hey, new job. Heard something about a fire alarm. You want to tell us the story about that?
Yeah, so about 1 month into my new job, I accidentally set off a fire alarm because I didn't know how to exit the building because we have like one main door that was supposed to go out, but I took the fire escape stairs because I don't like lifts. And yeah, I accidentally went out the fire escape door, which triggered alarms and everything, which was kind of embarrassing, especially new to the job. Oh, who's this person who set off an alarm? But yeah, oh well, I'm still here.
Yeah. Way to make a name for yourself in a new workplace, eh? Anyway, moving on from funny stories, because that's not everything we're here about. Uni, you're at uni, QUT, you're part of QUT Christians. Can you tell us about that?
Yeah, so I joined QT Christians or QC in my first year of uni. It's been really great getting to meet like a lot of people, a lot of new friends. It's really great, talking to people from like all across Brisbane who are Christian, people from different churches. So cool. And yeah, we do Bible studies together and Bible talks and just like meet up. It's really great and I love the community.
That's awesome. Uni life is pretty awesome. Great time of life to be in. So ballet, work, church, uni. How does Caitlin display and declare Jesus?
Yeah, so at uni we do, well, kind of haven't been able to do it since COVID, but we like doing walk up. During O Week we did some surveys, which was really cool. Got to talk to people, about what they think Christianity is, which was super cool. Also just, I guess, in my general life, just all I do, I try to do it to glorify Jesus. I guess why I like serving, just to, glorify Jesus, and I want to tell other people about it, so yeah.
How good is that? Caitlin, thanks for coming to be part of the Pact 5 house today. It's been good to learn some new stuff about you, and get around Caitlin. Maybe you could go and give the boys some ballet tips.
I think I might. That'd be really funny and awesome.
Yeah, well, there you have it. I've calmed down now, but thanks, Jimmy. But thanks, Caitlin. Thanks for coming in for that interview. Loved all of it, and I loved the ballet as well.
Yes, I genuinely, here's some truth. I actually genuinely thought I would be better at that than I was, and we shot that a couple of days ago, and I am still sore today from that ballet performance. It was extraordinary. Hey, we're about to jump into Bible Talk really soon, which will be great. But before we do that, we are in now stage 2. Surprisingly, got moved forward earlier this week, which is really exciting. And obviously, if you've been kind of following Christ Central Youth Pact 5 for a little bit, we've been saying that we're going to be kind of meeting in person, but that didn't happen for this week. But we are really hoping that might happen next week. So definitely stay tuned, and we can perhaps talk even more if you've got questions in Q&A. But we're hoping that next week we'll be able to meet in person at a number of hubs across the northern kind of suburbs here in Brisbane. We'll be able to meet together, and we'll be able to kind of do still the live stream, still the Pact 5 thing, but be able to do that in small groups rather than in Zoom. So we're looking forward kind of to doing that in the next couple of weeks. Fire your questions away later in Q&A, and definitely stay tuned for all the details of where and when all that's going to be happening.
Yeah, awesome. Super keen for that to get up and running. But you did mention on my Q&A there.
Yes.
And we've had some awesome Q&As over the past few weeks. They've been great at the end of the live stream. Especially last week, we had some great questions about how do we read the Bible when it's kind of difficult to understand.
Yeah, we had some super questions come through last week about how to interpret the Bible, how to read the Bible, apply it and understand it. And it sort of, works out kind of well, I think, in lots of ways for where we're headed even tonight.
Yeah, awesome. And it kind of got us thinking, this one we're going into tonight is a pretty gnarly passage. Yeah. And it's kind of given us a great opportunity to go back to those questions, hasn't it?
Yeah, it's worked out kind of really well because the passage that we are looking at tonight, it's pretty gnarly. There's some pretty wild stuff that's kind of in there. And it could be easy just to kind of skip over it and just kind of leave it and not address it. But we know all the Bible matters and it's all important for us. So we're going to jump into it tonight. And hopefully as we kind of look at it together, we're going to work through some ways to approach tricky parts of the Bible, which hopefully, kind of as we get through tonight, we'll kind of demonstrate that you don't need to be an expert to even read tricky parts of the Bible. That wherever you're at in your journey of kind of reading the Bible, hopefully tonight will give you some helpful ways to approach it, but also help you have confidence that you don't need to be an expert to be able to read the Bible. So we're going to get into that.
Yeah, awesome, Keen. As we are getting into it, so if you guys have your Bible at home, we'll be reading from 1 Peter 3, verse 18 to 25. We're going to have Jane read that for us, which would be awesome. So let's open that up.
Great.
Hey, I'm Jane. I'm from the senior girls group at Christ Central, and today we're going to read the Bible. We're going to read 1 Peter chapter 3, verse 18 to 22. Okay. For Christ also suffered once for sins, the righteous for the unrighteous, to bring you to God. He was put to death in the body, but made alive in the spirit. After being made alive, he went and made proclamation to the imprisoned spirits, to those who were disobedient long ago, when God waited patiently in the days of Noah while the ark was being built. In it only a few people, 8 in all, were saved through water. And this water symbolizes baptism that now saves you also. Not the removal of dirt from the body, but the pledge of a clear conscience towards God. It saves you by the resurrection of Jesus Christ, who has gone into heaven and is at God's right hand with angels, authorities, and powers in submission to him.
Whew, what a passage. But Jimmy, you did go to Bible college.
Yes, I did.
And that means you studied the Bible. That's kind of what you got your whole kind of degree in.
I did.
Yeah, so does that mean that then you kind of understand this unlike the rest of us and makes sense to you?
I wish. I think the first image that popped into my head when I read this passage and I realized I'm going to have to talk about it to a bunch of teenagers on Pack 5 is this gif. There is just some gnarly stuff in this passage. You're right, crazy things in there. I mean, somehow Christ or Jesus, says, make some sort of proclamation to imprisoned spirits, whatever they are. And this proclamation happened in some ages ago or in some sort of connection with Noah when he was building an ark. And all that rain and that water from Noah's Ark, somehow it symbolizes baptism, which again has a connection to the Christians that Peter's writing to here in Rome. And then finally Peter, as though he hasn't kind of put enough confusing stuff on the table already, he just finishes by mentioning angels, authorities, and powers because, of course, well, we all know what that means, right? Yeah, there is some pretty gnarly stuff in this passage, you're right.
There we go. Well, great. Well, I've got my popcorn here, so let's go, Jimmy. Can you just unpack all of that for us?
Yes. No. Well, maybe.
Yeah, but on an actual note, yes. What do we do when we get to these kind of parts of the Bible that we really don't understand?
Yeah, I mean, that's a great question. That's a key kind of question because it's a common thing to kind of read the Bible and wonder, what does this mean and what is this kind of talking about? And definitely this passage here in 1 Peter, it's one of those moments. I mean, there are people way smarter than me that have done way more study than me that spent ages debating and discussing and questioning, what exactly it is that Peter's referring to and talking about here in these verses. And in fact, if that is something that really interests you, I'd encourage you to kind of check out some of the different views that are there. You can see the talk that Matt gave, one of the pastors here on our live stream on Sunday. You can check that out kind of on Facebook. But there's actually, in amongst all of the kind of crazy and uncertain things here, there's actually a bunch of really clear things that Peter says here about Jesus. And as I kind of mentioned in question and answer Q&A last week in that time that we had together that actually when it comes to looking at really tricky passages and working them out, one of the great first steps to do is to look and see what does this passage actually say that is clear about Jesus and God. And so what I want to do right now, really briefly, is go kind of shoot through 4 things that this passage kind of clearly shows us about Jesus. And then hopefully as we kind of see those 4 things, we might kind of be able to understand why Peter's writing kind of all of this stuff together. 4 things that this passage kind of shows us clearly about Jesus.
Awesome, sound good. 4 things that clearly show us about Jesus. Well, what's the first one?
Great. Well, the first one that we clearly see here is in verse 18, and it is Jesus suffered for our sin. Why don't you kind of have a look with me? Verse 18, and Peter writes, "For Christ," that's Jesus, "also suffered once for sins, the righteous for the unrighteous, to bring you to God. He was put to death in the body, but made alive in the spirit." You know, I remember when I first got my license, I just got my first car.
Aha, yeah, see, I do know that car. There's actually a picture of it in the Pack 5 studio here. The silver Alpha car.
The silver Alpha car, you're right. Well, when I first got my license, I actually reversed ever so slightly and I bumped into a BMW, put a tiny little scratch, probably about that long, on this BMW. But it just so happened that this BMW was painted in some sort of paint that you couldn't get in Australia, only from overseas, and so it ended up costing an extraordinary amount of money to get multiple panels of the car replaced for this tiny little scratch. And I actually didn't have the money to pay the excess for the insurance that it all kind of played out in. And so even though it was my mistake and it was my error, my dad actually stepped in and paid the excess for me so that I could continue to drive my own car and actually survive. Even though it was my mistake and my error, my dad actually paid the cost that I had incurred. And in lots of ways, that's similar way of thinking about what Jesus has done for us. See, because we rejected God as King, we decided we didn't want to live His way, live our own way, and the Bible calls that sin. Because we chose to live that way, the Bible tells us the consequence or the cost for choosing to live that way is death. But here's the thing, Jesus takes that cost on Himself when He suffered and died. That's what Peter says there in verse 18. "For Christ also suffered once for sins, the righteous for the unrighteous." It's Jesus, the one who never did anything wrong, the righteous, as Peter says there, suffers for the unrighteous, those who have done the wrong thing. What Peter tells us here is that for those who have come to Christ, Jesus suffered for our sin. That's the first thing that's clear in this passage.
All right, first clear thing, all done.
Yes.
What's the second one?
Yes, well, you know how we're in a challenge kind of phase, and I'm 4-zip on you.
Yeah, don't know why that's important.
Well, I'm bringing that up because the second thing we see clearly in this passage is that death's got nothing on Jesus. See, in the ultimate showdown of all time, Jesus and death went head to head, a one-on-one battle. Winner takes all. 1v-zip is the only outcome that could kind of take place. And as Peter points out, the winner of that ultimate showdown was Jesus. Have a look again at the end of verse 18 and into 19, where it says, "He was put to death in the body, but made alive in the spirit." And then at the start of 19, "after being made alive." See, Jesus died for our sin, but He didn't stay dead. He was raised to life again. And as Peter points out here, death has nothing on Jesus. He beat death 1-zip. Because Jesus is better than death.
All right, I can relate to that. Let's keep going.
Yeah, good. All right, 2 down, 2 to go. Number 3, I said we're moving quickly. We're going to keep kind of pushing through. Third thing we see clearly in this passage is that it's Jesus' death and resurrection that saves those who have come to Him. Have a look at verse 21. Jesus says, Peter says, "And this water symbolizes baptism that now saves you also. Not the removal of dirt from the body, but the pledge of a clear conscience toward God. It saves you by the resurrection of Jesus Christ." See, Peter's already highlighted that Jesus' suffering has brought us to God. He said that back in verse 18. And now he finishes it off here in verse 21 by saying that it is His resurrection that saves Christians. Jesus' death for our sin and his resurrection to life, again, is how we get to be on God's team. There's no other way. The only way to have a restored relationship with God is through the death and resurrection of Jesus. It's Jesus' death and resurrection that saves us.
There we go. All right, we're flying through. What's the last one, brother?
All right, 3 down. Last one. Here we go. The last one, again, short, but it's a huge thing, and that is that Jesus is the most powerful. Have a look with me. End of 21, verse 22. Peter writes, "It saves you by the resurrection of Jesus Christ, who, Jesus Christ, has gone into heaven and is at God's right hand with angels, authorities, and powers in submission to him." Now, there might be some debate around what exactly Peter means when he says angels, authorities, and powers. But what there's no debate about is whatever he's referring to, they're all in submission to Jesus. See, Peter's already said that Jesus is more powerful than death, but he's also more powerful than everything. Death, angels, authorities, powers. Jesus is the most powerful.
Yeah, how good. But here's the thing, Jimmy. One of the questions last week that we had was, how do we apply the Bible to our lives? So how do we actually use what Peter is saying in our own lives? Is Peter just dropping facts and statements on us?
Yeah, I mean, that question that came through last week in the Q&A, how do we apply the Bible to our lives? It's such a good question. I love that question. I'm so thankful that it kind of came through, because the truth is, working out how to apply the Bible to our lives, it's tricky, but it really is important. And no, Peter is not just writing to give the Christians a whole bunch of facts about Jesus so they can be smarter. He's writing because he wants them to know something about Jesus so that it might change them. And in fact, that's the whole purpose of the Bible. It's to give us truths about God, about ourselves, so that it might change us, so we might be transformed. And so this part of the Bible, it's written so that Christians then might be transformed, but also so that we might be transformed. And the truth is that the circumstances are different. Peter was writing to Christians in the Roman Empire who were suffering persecution, and that's different to what we're facing here today and the circumstances that we're in. But the heart attitudes, I think there are lots of similarities there, especially if you're a Christian teenager. Here's what I mean by that. I've grown up my entire life going along to church. I've identified that I, as a Christian, for as long as I can remember. But I think the hardest phase of life for me so far in all of that was identifying as a Christian as a teenager. Because it always felt like there was so much risk involved in telling others that I was a Christian, in declaring Jesus. There was always so much risk involved in living out the way I knew Jesus' followers were to live. That displaying thing, there was so much risk involved, because my friends and people around me, they often mocked Christians, laughed at what they thought, or what they believed, or the way they kind of behaved, and I didn't want to be on the end of that. And so it was easier for me just to keep my mouth shut and not tell everybody that I was a Christian, because I didn't want to be the butt of everybody's jokes. And Christians who lived radically differently, well, they weren't super popular often. They often missed out on stuff, missed out on getting invited to parties and to events. They were often the last to be up to date with the latest goss going on in the social circumstances. And the popular girls at school were definitely not lining up to kind of date the guys who were waiting until marriage to get kind of intimate. And so I didn't want to miss out on all of that kind of stuff. I didn't want to suffer the fate of missing out on all of the things I thought were good. And so I chose often to live in a way that I knew wasn't what Jesus was calling his followers to live. See, declaring and displaying Jesus as a teenager for me, it felt like it carried so much risk. I didn't want to be made fun of. I didn't want to lose friendships. I didn't want to miss out on being part of things, and I didn't want my reputation to kind of be tarnished. I didn't want it to be awkward between my friends, and that because they thought of me as a Christian and what I believed and what I kind of did. I didn't want to lose those relationships because those people mattered to me, and so it felt like declaring and displaying Jesus, it carried so much risk, and I didn't want to suffer for being a Christian. It just didn't feel like that would be kind of fair.
Yeah, 100% get that, because I don't even think back to not even 2-3 years ago when I was a teenager, and I definitely went through that, and it does feel like being a Christian teenager carries so much risk.
Yeah, and maybe you're watching and you're a teenager and you feel like that sometimes. It's just easier to kind of go along with what everybody else is doing, behave like them, and keep your mouth shut and not tell others that you're a Christian, because it feels like there's so much risk involved in living as a kind of Christian teenager. But if that is you, then Peter's words here in chapter 3, they're there as an encouragement. See, he's writing to remind Christians that it is better to suffer for being on Jesus' team than living like you're not on Jesus' team. That it's better to suffer for being on Jesus' team than to not be on his team at all. See, this little section here, verses 18 to 22, it's Peter's moment to kind of prove that what he said in verse 17 stacks up. Because Peter's highlighting that it's better to suffer for doing good than for doing evil, because Jesus already suffered for doing good, and it resulted in his victory and his glory. See, for those who have come to Jesus, they've had their sin forgiven. Because of his death on the cross, they have a clear conscience before God. They've escaped the consequences of their sin, just like those who escaped the consequences of the flood during the time of Noah. And because Jesus didn't stay dead, because he won a great victory over evil and death, those who have come to Jesus have a sure hope in him, life with him forever. Death cannot defeat those who have come to Jesus, who are on his team. They too, like Jesus, will one day live with God in heaven. And Peter's writing to tell Christians that there is nothing better than that. That there's nothing better than knowing that you're on Jesus' team and living to declare and display how great Jesus is. Yeah, there are risks involved in declaring and displaying Jesus. And yeah, you might suffer for that. But brothers and sisters, know that Jesus knows how that feels. The suffering, the hurt, the shame, the loneliness, the rejection, Jesus knows it all. And he endured it all so that you might be with God, that you might be on his team, so that you might have confidence that he is with you even when you suffer for doing what is good. So keep doing good. Keep declaring and displaying Jesus in your words and in your actions, because no authority, no power, no angels, nothing else, not even death can get between you and Jesus if you're on his team. If you're a follower of Jesus, that's the hope that you have in him. That's the hope that Jesus wants you to know as you face the risks and the challenges of living to declare and display Jesus to those around you.
Yeah, awesome. Thanks for that, Jimmy. How about I pray? Yeah, dear Lord, I just thank you for what you've done for us, and just pray that as we go forward, that you help us to go forward with a confidence in you, and that we'll be able to say your name proudly, and that I pray that you do help us to take risks for you, and I pray this in your name.
Hey everyone, thanks for watching our latest video. It's been great to be with you.
It's been awesome. Please like and subscribe, and maybe check out some of our other content. That'd be awesome.
And we'll see you guys next week.
Awesome. Thanks, guys.